धागे न तिनक धिन 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 धागे न तिनक धिन.
Every day I wake, I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Yeah. Every day I wake, I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the, because they only telling their side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Morid and porridge. Kids get their money off on it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We going up, yeah. We got the goods. Good of them assets, good of my bag. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a blast from the past. We gonna smash it. Be prepared to hit the gas, yeah.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Try it.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher. Yeah, Sherry know I got from Virginia. Yeah.
I know I'm more because I'm blessed. I know I'm more. I passed the test.
We got to see with the true eyes. We need some brand new bright ideas. We got the hearts and some great minds, yeah. If we could all just be sincere.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Try it.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher, yeah.
Peace to the party. Shawn boy, back again. Hey, so another Sunday service, I encourage y'all to go back and watch last week's. I know it was a kind of, a little bit of different for us, but we're trying to give y'all the mission in totality, not just bits and pieces. You need some news you can use, right? You need some financial gain. You need the historic pathway. You need all that there, right? So full 360 of information. So take all of it serious, especially when it's free. I'm just saying. But look, so we gonna get to the news of the matter, right? So later we got Travis coming back up. You know, I always his branding now is American Ancestry Decoded. Obviously, y'all like the combination that we got, the trio. You know, we got a lot of different trios. Mac, you know what I'm saying? He's a master teacher. I know this my homie, so I'm gonna give him that because I know a lot of people ain't gonna do it right. And then you know what I do. So anytime we connect with one of these guests, we're gonna bring the best out and we're gonna have a real conversation because the information is too much information for us to never have content. But we gotta cover it all. I know we got our picks and chooses, but I promise it's all important. So with that being said, though, we got to talk about these political games they've been playing with us. And a lot of folks, they get mad at us because of the different talking points that we be coming with, mainly me, because I be the one that y'all see on Front Street talking about this particular portion. But I mean, I got to call it how I see it from an autonomous point of view, right? And we talk about the Democrats because the Democrats target us, right? Because they always say, well, y'all talking about the black people. Well, this the community we come from, bro. So what other, if I'm finna spend my time investing in researching and studying, why wouldn't it be to benefit people that look like me? I'm just saying, to me, that ain't too crazy. But we gotta talk about what's going on with the whole this ICE situation getting out of hand, bro. It's crazy. Like they steady trying to elicit us to want to be triggered by this, want us to participate. When I say this, they say I'm tripping. But we got to go to the evidence, right? So even if you ain't trying to pay attention, I know you heard what's going on in Minnesota, right? The whole way that everything Republican is being pushed in the media. So this is the first thing I see on social media, but let's talk about this. So this Joy Reid right here, right? So I'm about to paint this picture to y'all and kind of connect the dots and show how we are being used. And shout out to the chat. Shout out to all y'all for being here. Excuse me, my manners, I'm tripping. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. All the long-standing supporters of the Autonomous Party on the party behalf, we definitely appreciate it. The subscribers been going up, the engagement, all of that. We appreciate it. So let's get to Joy Reid, though. So this is how they try to get us involved in issues that have nothing to do with us, right? So peep gang. So this is what she say. She going and explaining this whole situation. Shout out to these elders, to these ancestors who this is their story, this happened to them. And now the Democrats and this side of media is trying to enact us to use this as a way to correlate the two. So she basically explained this couple story. They lived during Jim Crow. They had some horrible things happen to them by white people who was enabled to do so because of these Jim Crow laws, right? So what she is saying is that that's the old MAGA, and then the new MAGA now is Trump. But she's saying that they are one and the same. So just without no emotions involved, just straight up facts, Jim Crow was established by Democrats, bro. So you see how they just trying to attribute things that don't even go together with the whole purpose of eliciting a response to get us behind this mission that they want us to be on. Mad at ICE and comparing it to the KKK is crazy to me, bro. Our people was never no illegal immigrants. This is our own land mixed with people who came in to help build upon this land before a system came. So we definitely ain't nowhere near no foreigners. We really should be on the side of getting them the hell up out of here if you understand your history. But hey, that's just an example, right? There's Joy Reid, very popular in the media, you know, has an influence and a voice. And these are the type of stories that they try to push out on a daily to just, bro, if you're going to beat somebody, beat them with your policies and with your intellect, not with propaganda. That's the part I don't respect. Talk about the policies you don't like and show why. Show us the evidence and the facts of why they don't make sense. Show us some statistics, some type of examples, not just a whole bunch of hate rhetoric that we can't prove. It's really just your opinion because you're not showing us anything, right? But this is how they get us. So then you got another favorite right now. You got Jasmine Crockett, a beautiful sister, but the things that she be on, I just can't respect how she coming because it don't make sense. Because she's another one that's trying to get us to feel like ICE is a slave patrol. Check this out.
Thank you, Representative Garcia. We'll now go to another member of the Judiciary and Immigration Subcommittee, Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas.
Thank you so much, Madam Ranker, and thank you so much to our amazing colleague, our amazingly strong colleague. I've heard so much, and I have prepared remarks, and if you know anything about me, you never know where I'm going. And frankly, I don't either, because I have already cried this morning. And, you know, so I'll just start here. As a civil rights lawyer, I'm incensed. As an American, I'm embarrassed. As a human, I'm infuriated.
So the red state, blue state says, I heard that Jasmine Crockett is Haitian. I can't say whether she is or isn't. I will look into that though, but I can't, I can't claim that to be true yet, but I definitely will look into that. It would make sense if I don't want to say it like that because it ain't no, put it like this. It would make more sense for somebody who's not of this land to take the democratic posture versus somebody who isn't, in my opinion.
And as a member of Congress, I am immovable in my pursuit of accountability. You see, right now, people want to pretend as if this is right or left, but I'm here to tell you that this is about right or wrong. And it is very sad that the only people that are sitting here are members of the Democratic side. So I guess we just want to stand on the side of right. For once, we will be associated with being right instead of. My question to go to arrest someone because of the color of their skin.
Absolutely not.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because of their accent?
Wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they were exercising their constitutional rights?
It is wrong.
Is it right or wrong to arrest somebody because they simply disagree with you?
It's wrong.
All right, so it seems like y'all all went to elementary school and y'all can tell right from wrong. I'm not really sure what is going on with ICE right now, but I can tell you, and as we heard earlier, this is pure racism. I don't know why we want to tinker around with it and pretend as if it's something other than what it is. I like to call a thing a thing. And he has told us time and time again who he was when he talked about certain people being from certain shithole countries. Those are his words. Only reason I'm cussing in this moment. When he said things like they are eating the cats and dogs. We knew exactly what we were getting. And some people are saying, I don't know how we got here, but I do. Because we know that dehumanizing, I believe that you said something to the effect of cruelty and humiliation are the point. That's what you said, Miss Patty. Because when we look at other places, say places that did things like, go door to door, looking for people, as they had to hide out, say in an attic. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Or the images that I have seen of people being attacked by law enforcement, whether we're talking about dogs or fire hoses, it seems very reminiscent of something that we have seen before in this country. And then people get offended and try to say I'm too black, but the reality is that y'all never let the fact that I am black go. So I'm going to be clear about one thing.
Hey, so I want to stop it here for this one point. Now you hear how they'll try to say, like when they get accused of only being about black politics, they'll make it seem like that's not their stance. But clearly, when you hear her speak, that's exactly what she's saying. And it's kind of disrespectful to compare ICE and what's going on with anything that our ancestors went through. It's not even nowhere near in comparison. So it's like, this is ridiculous, but this is what they standing on and trying to elicit, and people thinking it's not the real thing. So we're gonna show you these political actions put together, but I wanna let her finish so y'all can hear the totality.
I know my good black history. And so when I look and I say,
she say she know her black history. What y'all think?
And I will say it loud and proud because the DH secretary had a few choice words for me, but this looks like modern day slave patrols. And they have been sanctioned by this Supreme Court. Whoever thought we would live in a country that progress looks like having a Supreme Court that says, yes, it is okay to look at somebody or to listen to their accent and give permission to grab them. The last time that I checked, ICE is only supposed to be doing immigration enforcement. And right now we have a record number of U.S. citizens that have not only been arrested, but as we saw with Renee, that have been killed, that have been maimed, that have been bullied, that have been brutalized, that have been unlawfully arrested. Y'all, we are living with an abuser right now. That is who Trump and his administration is. And frankly, I think we all have a little bit of PTSD. But if you know anything about a domestic abuser, the one thing about them that you need to know is that they are some of the biggest cowards that you will ever find. What they can't stand is when you actually fight back. And so thank you so much for everybody in Minnesota. But it is time for our entire country to stand together. Because if you don't recognize that we are all in the same sinking ship, whether you are black, white, Latino, African, whoever you are, the reality is that we have an administration that has decided that they are going to ignore our constitutional rights, and we will not stand for it. Otherwise, our democracy will fall. So I just got this to say because she is blanking.
Thank you, Representative Crockett. We got some people that got to make some planes. So thank you so much.
Bruh, y'all hear this, bro? It make no sense to me, right? Why would this matter to Americans that it's going to hurt our democracy by letting illegal immigrants stay here and we got to pay for the actions that's going to them? Why is it that Minnesota, Minneapolis to be specific, always into the last few years, anytime some big political action is happening, coming through the same place where the Somalis is running amok through the government, right? With Tim Walz, the governor, you ain't starting to see these connections, bro. All of this can't be no coincidence. You know what I'm saying? They literally, yeah. So right here, they just laughed at her. They did. They see it as entertainment. They wasn't shocked and in awe by what she said because she was speaking truth to power. It just was entertainment. That's what they love her for. But when we come to real substance and stuff that actually makes sense, it ain't too many of our leaders who really standing on that, just like this right here. All of our so-called leaders, unfortunately, don't know real true history. I'm just saying, if they do, I can't tell by the things that they say and then the policy and the actions that they do behind it, right? Because they ain't living up to any of this. So check it out. So people will say that democratic posturing is not rolling over into real life. This is just political theater, which I agree that it is, but it definitely is working on a subset of people. But we got to work on outcasting this because this information is crazy and they're trying to get people to crash out. So here go the last example right here, right? The buddy said they the new Black Panther. Listen what the buddy got to say.
ICE agent ever run up on me, I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's going to happen. They touch me.
When are black people going to stop fighting for black immigrants who does not respect us and our lineage?
America is so...
Hey, a shout out to Diaspora Theory for putting this video. They did a beautiful job. They're getting people from the TikTok, you know, where people really think about what's going on about this propaganda that's being put out there, right? Because you got some people that believe, some people that don't.
Desperate for us to get involved in this ICE fight. Yeah, I'm about to show you the Black Panther group, okay, that they presented. That's supposed to...
To be honest, that's not the Black Panther.
Hey, hold on. Let me go back real quick. Bro, what these people finna do? Bro, let's be serious, bro.
To be honest, that's not the Black Panther Party. It don't stand for none of the same things that our Black Panther Party stood for back in the days. They were out here protecting their own people, the people who needed to be protected. The that y'all are trying to protect nowadays don't need your protection.
You see on the news all the time, Renee, you know, everybody say her name, Renee.
Renee.
Right? She just got shot in the face by ICE.
Say her name was made for black women who were constantly, still are, being overlooked in the criminal justice system today.
One more thing before I go to bed. Say Her Name is for Black women.
Hey, so I'm not trying to be rude at all, but Say Her Name is specifically reserved for Black women.
Tell you something, I'm not for the co-optation. We're not doing that. Say Her Name is for Black women. This is something that people should not have to come on here and correct.
The Black Panthers are a cosplay organization. They get their vest on, you know what I'm saying? They grab a gun and they go out and they march in formation, but they've never actually completed a task for us that we've needed them to complete. I'm not talking about all these little liberal tasks that they be doing, tasks that help everybody. I'm talking about getting things done for us.
And during the few moments that we have left, we want to have just an off-the-cuff chat between you and me.
Chairman Paul Birdsong reporting for Active Community Defense Duty. Listen, two things that I need to run by you. Thing number one.
Hey, so this supposed to be the leader, bro. This dude right here. He's supposed to be the leader of the new Panther Party for self-defense. Buddy said he from Lansing. His name is Paul Birdsong. At least that's what they say it is, right? Paul Birdsong from Lansing, Michigan, even though his organization, his chapter is ran out of West Philly, is what they say. All right. Even though he only became the leader of this party in 2020, but he don't got no other backstory about him, where he grew up at, who his people is, what did he do in life? You feel me? Besides this. So it already look crazy, but he don't even look like, he look like he got some black in him, but Buddy at best is mixed. You feel me? So, and then everybody they had out there didn't look like no Black Americans to me. But listen to what he said.
Is, a lot of people are saying that we should not stand up against ICE because we're standing for people that aren't us, and Black Panthers only stand for Black people. That is a lie. Huey P. Newton said that we are internationalists and we stand with all oppressed people no matter what color they are. That's the founder of the Black Panther Party that said that. So everybody who's running around talking about Black Panthers don't stand up for people other than Black people don't know a damn thing about the Black Panther Party. That's thing number one. Thing number two, the Black Panther Party created something called the Rainbow Coalition, which is a coalition of Hispanics, Asians, whites, and Blacks from all over the world working together to fight oppression. Again, Black Panthers stood with the Mexicans, stood with the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans, stood with the Japanese, the Vietnamese. The Black Panthers did a whole campaign to end the Vietnam War because they stood with Vietnam. So for you guys who are talking all of this gibberish about, you guys aren't following traditions of the original, who do you think our leaders are? Aaron Dixon is an original Black Panther, right? Aaron Dixon is an original Black Panther who walked with Huey Newton. That's our leadership. And Billy Che Brooks, that was Fred Hampton's right-hand man. So you guys you sound stupid, to be honest. You sound like you don't really know what you're talking about. Doing a lot of hooting and hollering and don't really know what you're talking about. If you watch Huey Newton's speech, he specifically says, we are not Black nationalists. We are internationalists. And we stand with all oppressed people across the globe, no matter what your ethnicity is. Come on, man. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. You telling us what we're supposed to be doing as Black Panthers, and you don't know the first thing about a Black Panther. All power to the people, though.
I saw this video. I'm going to play the video so y'all can hear some stuff off this clip because I got some shit to say. So y'all know the Black Panther Party, right? The new and approved Black Panther Party. To be honest, that's not the Black Panther Party. It don't stand for none of the same things that our Black Panther Party stood for back in the days. They basically mixed race now. There's a whole bunch of different races in the Black Panther Party. It should no longer be called the Black Panther Party if there's more than just one race in there. Y'all got Asians, y'all got mixed people. The dude that runs it looks like he's mixed. But listen to this shit here because I totally disagree with everything this man just said. Just listen.
Agent ever run up on me, I guarantee you they won't. I put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's gonna happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think
he's talking about the white lady.
And brutalize the people while we're standing here, fuck around and find out. Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable.
Y'all protecting the wrong people.
We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for self-defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because the Black Panther Party back in the days was all black, copper-colored people. Hold on. Let me pause this real quick. The Black Panther Party back in the days was all copper-colored people. They were out here protecting their own people, the people who needed to be protected. The mother that y'all are trying to protect nowadays don't need your protection. The Black Panther Party was never meant for us to protect everybody else. It was meant for us to protect ourselves because they weren't protecting us. So the Black Panther Party today needs to change their name because they're not the Black Panther Party.
Forces threatening the lives of federal police. Here are the Black Panthers.
I put a hole in their chest the size of a window. We're a little more aggressive now, you dig? No ICE agent ever run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's gonna happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think you're about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here, fuck around and find out. Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable. We hold them accountable. We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day, but we're a little more aggressive now, you dig? Carry bigger guns and we don't take no shit. Places where there are a lot of immigrants at, I think that the community around them needs to take special care to them and it needs to start escorting them to and from everywhere to make sure that they're safe. Because them ICE agents ain't gonna act like that if it's a bunch of people standing outside with assault rifles and shotguns. It's a semi-automatic shotgun. That means them shotgun shells that shoot out of a pump, they shoot them rapidly. If you are gonna legally arm yourself with something bigger than what they got. Those who serve in the public, they should be fearful of the public. They should be fearful that the public's going to be dissatisfied with their job that they're doing, not feeling like they're tyrants, not feeling like they're bullies because they got guns and body armor and walkie-talkies. That makes them immune to whatever the people would do. I think you want to correct the ideology of the pig and the mentality of the slave catcher, you meet them with equal force. All power to the motherfucking people. No power to the pig.
Hey, listen here, bro. So you talk about political theater. If you can't understand and see that this is that, then I don't know what to tell you. The problem and the problem with this particular theater is they are using us as a character and to be the bad guy at all times. So now you got this man trying to, incite Black people to want to protect illegal immigrants, to go out their day and protect them. He said, escort them. And you felt like out of all the other causes that's going on that Black people need help, this was the one for you to be willing to down. Tell me what sense that make. At the same time, when you got these big politicians posturing, this is all connected. You feel me? They in on this on one accord, and they think so low of us that they can put these little things out there and we just supposed to bite. And what make it so bad is it actually work a little bit, because if you go to your social medias, you'll have Black people parroting these same exact thoughts that they did not come up with individually. Is because it was propagated to them. They just think that it was their own individual thought. When we know if you challenge them with facts, they have not much to say because they didn't do the research themselves. This is what they wanted to get away from. That's why we're talking about America. Who can you trust, right? We got Travis pulling up, American Ancestry Decoded. Mac already in the building, ready to get his lecture for the Sunday service. But you know what time it is. We gotta go to Gullah Man's Choir, get us a little refresher, some entertainment before we get into the lecture. So yeah, the obsession with us is ridiculous. Yeah, for sure. They say this guy speaking is not even Black, he's Puerto Rican. I mean, he definitely look it. I can't lie. That he could be a Puerto Rican, or he don't look like the term they using now, foundational Black and all that. Yeah, he don't appear that, but we know we can't go by lookerism. Regardless, I don't agree with nothing he was saying. Outside of, they did, with the Rainbow Coalition, but that wasn't to our benefit. But we America, who can you trust? That's what we got coming. So this is why it's important to understand all these lessons so you can see how they pull these things off. So we're going to go to the Gullah Man's Choir, then it's on from there. Yeah. Chit.
We gotta fund the vision. Fund the vision. Run the vision. Fund the vision. Dreams don't move till the people grounded. Fund the vision. Fund the vision. They say love your people, but love needs tools. Power needs resources. That's the first rule. We ain't chasing silver, we chasing solutions. We need capital to break these old institutions. Break those chains. Break those chains. Can't build freedom empty-handed. No, no, no. Every dream needs something landed. Let it grow, let it grow. We need money for the mission. Money for the mission. Hope don't grow without a little provision. Money for the mission. Money for the mission. Yeah. Heart stay pure while the grind stay driven. For the mission. Money for the mission. Hope don't grow without a little provision. Money for the mission. Money for the mission. We pray hard on Sunday, but Monday's real. Bills hit deeper when you're fighting to heal. If the system is crooked, we still gotta move. Stack for the fam, keep the block improved. Keep the block improved. Yeah. Keep the block improved. Oh, yeah. Block improved. Oh, yes. Faith is fire, but the work needs wood. Purpose grows strong when the funding's good. We raise the money for the generation. We build the budget for the restoration. We plan together. Don't try left behind. We feed the future. The liberated mind. We need money for the mission. Money for the mission. Freedom takes funding and strategic position. We need money for the mission. Money for the mission. Every dollar righteous, every plan with wisdom. Money for the mission. We build for the children. We build for the kingdom. Money for the mission. Money for the mission. Money for the mission. Money for the keep the vision, build the vision, money for the mission, money for the mission, money for the mission. Stories in a file, a barcode born to reconcile. But when I breathe, I feel the flame of every soul that wore my name.
They test my blood, but not my song. They name me right, but spell me wrong. Every drop still testifies. We survived what couldn't die. We remember
the hands that pray, yeah.
We remember
the price they paid.
We remember the light,
the climb,
cause the blood remembers time.
We remember who we are.
Who we are. No code, no lamb, no star. Measure who we are.
From the field to the skyline.
From the roots to the divine.
We remember our name, cause the blood remembers time.
Mac, what it is, bro? Check in.
I'm tapped in, man. I'm live with y'all. You heard me? Yeah. Hey, that GMC, that last song right there.
Touch it, bro.
Hey, I remember. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's why we do this here.
Yeah, man. Hey, I remember. You know what I'm saying? It touched me when it's the words in it.
Nah, facts, bro.
Hey, I remember because see, everything we talk about is related to it. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Everything that we talk about is related to that song when it comes to I remember. And
that's the one right there, bro.
Yeah, that allows us to align ourselves from when we understand our heritage tied to America and us decoding things that they kept from us, and now we know, and now we remember, and now we're going to apply ourselves and move differently because of what they kept us from. See, you said something in as you open Homeboy with the news and what's going on right now with immigration, immigrants. And that comparison with KKK is crazy. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and say everything ICE doing is above the, doing everything right. That would be crazy, right? But in a manner of comparing it to what happened to our ancestry that's tied to America, and what they try to keep us from being able to do is crazy freaking work. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that it's not even about using foundational or ADOS or any term, urban Indian, you know what I'm saying? And you KK, you know what I'm saying? But any of them joints, you know what I'm saying, is not supposed to be correlated to, you know what I mean, what we're talking about when it comes to just the overall people who've been classified as Negro, colored, African American, systematically. See, this is where people get caught up because they want to fight about it individually, but we're talking about a system.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the system is the foundation. Like how we say before, we always say, Rome's the referee. Well, in this situation, dealing with the American heritage of who they did certain things to, they'll fit into a category they call today the Negro, American Negroes, in our heritage. It's only for a certain group of people. But because you today are called Black or you immigrated here and you could be legally here. I ain't got no problem with anybody that look like me to here, legally.
Yeah.
And they, you know what I mean? That's not the problem.
What it took.
Right. So that ICE thing can't be, ICE is made to not go after people that were here.
Yeah. That's not their job description.
No, this shit is going after illegals.
Correct.
So how are they being compared to KKK? Because we're not immigrants.
Nah, this is our shit.
Yeah, what the fuck you got going on? I'm sorry for all the children out there. See,
it get you frustrated because it's like that shouldn't even be no conversation.
Yeah, I was overall not like, I'm flabbergasted. You know what I'm talking about?
Believe
like,
it, bro.
I can't even understand how these people, you got so political within a liberal ideal that you have a feeling in your feelings about this whole all of us get along type thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And politics don't work that way. Even if we even have issues with people who they say considered today Caucasian, pale, except Anglo-Saxon background, or those who were here prior to, 1775, those who were here prior to 1865. And I would say they're a smaller amount to what we talk about today, but there are plenty of people we know came in, were able to, politically immigrate into this country and be treated better than the people that were from this land.
Yeah.
And they sat by and watched them set up organizations as immigrants in this land to keep the people of this land in a certain category from being in an equality position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
thanks.
Can we do history? But I think people think I'll be slipping or something. Like, I don't know what the heck going on when it comes to current things. Because all everything I remember about is about me knowing what's my position right now as a marooned person in America. You heard me? With my heritage involved. You know what I'm talking about? So tap in. The harsh reality is live life autonomously. It's your boy Gullah Mac Ether, Mac Ketha. You know what I mean? Co-in, I'm about to go in. You heard me? Let's get it. Let's go. Tap in. Let's get it. So, before our guest comes on, obviously, America Decoded, you know what I'm saying? It's obviously tied to trust. Last week, like Monte said earlier, Humble with the news, and he gave you that. Last week, we know it's going to probably be the show that might not get watched the most, because y'all know us for talking about ancient history and all the different situations we break down. And what we researched dealing with history on a global level. But American Decoded dealing with what's happening in America, there's a trust involved, a covenant amongst people. Some might call that white supremacy in some cases. They have a covenant that allowed them to be supreme in the position of culture, law, history, and things they want to present on how there will be the superior group of people governing over others. You know what I mean? And that understanding of what we're talking about, a covenant. You know what I'm talking about? And trust me, when you take an oath to something, it ain't nothing like, some fruity shit or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Some real situations taking place that these people are and taking oaths to uphold in a covenant. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. We ain't got to talk about the Bible, talk about this covenant, by the way. But either way, the systems before trust law. You know what I mean? Because trust, every time you see this word trust tonight, I want you to think in parallel the word covenant. That's why I'm laying that foundation so you can understand, hopefully, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation that we're going to have tonight. You know what I'm talking about? Correlated, understanding from what we remember to where we are now today. Yeah, Maranatha. You know what I'm talking about? So how property, power, and duty were governed before trust. Understand that. You see that? Slide now. Let's get to it. So we want you to understand what we're walking into since we talking about correlations and things. Primitive ownership systems. You know what I'm saying? Power equals possession. You know what I'm talking about? Manifesting destiny is about having power to do and manifest what you need to be done in your will. You heard me? Property tied to force or kinship. No separation of owner and ruler. Collapsed at death. That's all in there too. You keep sliding. That's all in that. Sacred stewardship. Y'all heard about this word steward. It became a surname. Some of y'all got that steward last name in your lineage.
King James.
Yeah, King James.
To be specific.
Yeah.
Who also the Bible. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So also when the word steward as a surname, it has the etymology to that word steward.
Yeah.
And where the origin goes back to, which is tied to this right here called a stewardship. You know what I'm talking about? This is going to be the English translation of the word. We get into other terms of it in other languages another time. You know what I mean? It's another bill. Property belonged to a deity. This is what this is it. You heard me? You know what I'm saying? Humans acted as stewards. Accountability beyond death. Intergenerational responsibility. Hey, you see that word right there, Monte? Last week.
Hey. Yeah, hey, so let's pause it right here so they make sure they understand where you walking them to. Yeah. All right. So prior to the trust being established, everything was done by a ruler, somebody who was in power, who was claiming things. And then when you died, whatever you owned as an individual went wherever they said it went. All right.
Yep.
So then now you get this introduced through a steward. Now you basically got somebody acting as a trustee. Even if you don't know nothing about trust, you've heard the word trustee before in your lifetime. You got to understand that this comes from the Bible.
That part.
This come from this understanding. Whether you a Christian or not, this is just an established fact. Go ahead, Matt.
So yeah, intergenerational responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So it let you know that within the concept of understanding what we're talking about, right? You know, I'm trying to make sure y'all, some people told me I'll be talking fast. I mean, I'm moving too fast. Let me know. We on a time schedule though. Intergenerational responsibility. So if you were to set up a trust today, if anybody watched the show last week, and how I showed you how kind of to do some things today for your understanding of setting up something intergenerational that would be held in a stewardship of responsibility, dealing with your things like a policy that you pointed out last week. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But in that case back then, this is tied to crowns and situations and how they dealt with it. We slide on. I just want to make sure I said that with it. Keep moving. All right, formal legal ownership. See, this is Rome's the referee. See, because Rome had the system. Rome had the same exact covenant, trust, ideal of how they governed subjects and other foreign groups of people outside of their original covenant ideal who would be considered a Roman. So formal legal ownership, absolute ownership caused instability. Yeah, they had problems. That's why they had issues. That's why they said the western part of Rome collapsed and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? When you read about it in history, you know what I'm talking about? I remember. You know what I'm talking about? I remember. Created fiduciary, holding concepts. Monte, what's fiduciary mean?
So this is your financial responsibility, basically in a legal capacity. You legally got some type of capacity to act in a way to help produce or execute on somebody's finances.
That part. All right, slide to the next one then. We'll keep moving. Oh, see that word right there? I want y'all all to see that word. I had to look it up myself when I came across this word, wanted to do this with y'all tonight. And I was like, this is an interesting word. That's why I said fiduciary the first time, because it's kind of tied to this word. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's a derivative. Got to be, kind of from some type of way.
You know what I mean? But you see, I'm going to mess it up. So you see, I put it there so you can spell it for yourself and go research it, because I'm going to butcher this word.
Yeah.
Speak that well, or their ideals of how they had an economic system. I'm going to make sure I say that clear. You know,
they can Google it to make sure it's real.
Yeah, go ahead and Google that. You know what I'm talking about? Because I never heard that word before. You know what I'm talking about? Whoop-de-doo. Property held by one for another. So you understand what this word is going to correlate to. Property held by one for another. Legal ancestor of trust. Limited absolute ownership. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so that's the, we're going to keep sliding. That's it. I want you to see how this correlate. You know what I mean? Feudal tenure systems. King claimed all land. Lords, Maranatha, held land in service. No true ownership. Inheritance vulnerable to seizure. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. You should understand in history, when we bring up those decrees and the papal bulls and all that things that's happening in the 15th
and even the treaties that happened, and this is how they was able to get the land in America.
Come on.
Because it didn't exist in no real system that was documented on paper tied to a religion or something that was respected worldwide.
That part. They had to open, that's why they put the decrees out. When you decree something and you're doing it from a trust standpoint,
right?
And you're doing it from now you have a peak game. See, this is where systems matter. You have the crown, and in this situation, in their system, they have a pope. So the pope is going to be the morale, religious ideal of what gives it the morale to do it, and the crown is the one passing it on what we call a secular political level to go into territories of people who are not following what? That creed or that decree. See, that word decree and creed correlate in certain ways. Because if you ain't what's going on with the decree, then you outside the decree, goddammit, which means you're outside that covenant because your decree is tied to another covenant. Oh, that part. Let's move it on. Keep it moving. Slide on. Problem with feudalism. Land reverted to the crown at death. Families lost estates. You know what I'm saying? Church and crown exploited succession. That's what I just broke down before I even showed it to you. See how that worked? Yeah, I'm ahead of my time. But at the same time, this is what's happening. And to systematic understanding of what we're talking about and what we're going to decode with America, but where they even got it from? Because they ain't get it out of nowhere. Nobody is making up nothing. The system has been along a long time. Even last week, Sunday, the brother said, you know what I'm saying, with us, that trust system. He said 200 years that them people in that banking system, right? But technically, on a trust understanding, it's longer than that.
Oh yeah, that just was the insurance part of it, but the actual operating out of a trust part, that's way older.
Way older than that, because the word covenant, once again, is tied to the word trust. That's why I make sure to keep up what's going on now. All right, now let's keep sliding. Birth of the trust. Now, when you hear the word trust, because in English we use the word trust, you know what I mean? In God we trust. We use words like that, and tied to a covenant, a system, jurisdiction of people who will be governed by what they call God underneath their governance. So England, land transferred into trust party, a trusted party. Shout out to the party, you heard me? Held for benefit of heirs. Last week we showed you how you can set up your own heirship and your legacy intergenerationally, right? Through a trust. And how to fund it. Funny enough. I might have went over people's heads though. Protected from crown seizure. You heard that? Because you know what? When we talk about King James, when he set up a system to not have to be underneath that Roman system.
Yeah, to not be a Caesar,
Right. But they at the same time were still what? Moving inside of a trust to be able to keep their landmass from being underneath what? That trust system, right? That covenant system with the crown who has a trust system for their subjects to be outside of that understanding of that jurisdiction of a covenant, which we call a trust. Is everybody understanding? Tied to the crown? Crown understanding. This is crown talk.
Literally. So if you didn't have your way to maneuver outside of the crown, wasn't no future for you.
Yeah. You automatically in a maroon position. Slide to the next joint. Equity courts. Enforce conscience over power. Focused on duty and fairness. Protected beneficiaries. You heard me? So within this, when you have equity in a system and they have a court that acknowledges your equity within that system tied to the crown, it's going to show you how they're going to interact with those people who have, like, a beneficiary idea or have been acknowledged within that system of that court system of that covenant that's giving equity to the people within that trust. How that sound to you, Monte?
It sounds like, let me share something real quick.
Go ahead.
It sounds like this is why we're going to have to show this the same way that we do the observations, so it get stuck in their mind on what really time it is, so that when we tell them that you need to understand what's going on in the Bible from a law perspective, is because it's already widely acknowledged that the Bible was the foundation on when it comes to the legal side on how to set up these equity courts. This is how they set up the republic based on the principles that was from this stewardship of this covenant that they came together and put together for a reason. It wasn't to get them to worship no one man, bro. It was about the law, bro. And everything since then has been built around it and enforced on it. You feel me?
That part. That whole part right there. All right, so let they see that on the screen. They can go research that. You know what I mean?
Year of the Bible, 1983.
Tied by Congress. Congress did that.
Yep.
Not a president, but the Congress. They passed it.
Yep.
All right, so we move to the next joint. Equity courts. Go research that when you get a chance. I put the slide together so y'all can, know what I'm saying, follow along the way, you can go back and see it and go research each part. You heard me? Yeah, we're going to go ahead. We might as well. Yeah, you see it? Shout out to, he going to pull up in a minute. He see what's coming.
He in the back right now.
Yeah, he see what's coming. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We laying the foundation so so they can be up to speed and we can really run with it and you can do your thing.
Yeah, that part. Why trust replaced prior systems? Solved inheritance issues, prevented abuse of power, created fiduciary. See, we already showed you on the other slides how this word economics, fiduciary economics, and trade systems, and how it's tied to crowns and or empires and how they govern over those things. It's going to be tied to like a treasury and things like that in different terms and older systems of what we call today a covenant or a trust, in the manner of how they govern the civilization, dealing with the economic side of it, right? But now within this, prevented abuse of power. See, and we abused a lot of power. We look at a lot of things. I'm talking about. But it created fiduciary accountability. You know what I'm saying? So that needs to be put in place. This is something you get a foundation of what when we talk about trust. You get the morale, understanding of history tied to what when we talk about trust. So you get lost when when Travis come up and drop some. You know what I mean? You can kind of have a backbone to what we're talking about because some people think it's spooky. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing spooky about it. Ain't nothing spooky.
It's all trackable
over here. Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters over here. You heard me? Next thing. Let's slide. Right. We ain't playing no games with this in 2026. Manifest Destiny vibe we on. Transition to American system. See, we getting up. We in America now, right? So you try to figure out how that worked to America. Well, the colonial elites and people y'all call, Europeans and people and all the different crowns, you know what I'm saying? They came to America and Lord proprietorship, especially in the 13 colonies. This is the transition part. So they rejected after a certain period of what we call a monarchy. That's going to be getting to the American Revolutionary time frame when they were like, yo, we got to
tie that kings and queens shit.
Yeah, we're like, you know what? Look, we paying taxes to y'all, and we actually doing this on our own with the other different nations of people and different people that's here that we don't really think we need to deal with you no more. You heard me? Now, other groups of people in North America weren't feeling the same way exactly, but at the same time, they created a covenant and trust. You heard me? In order for you to manifest the destiny, you got to have the covenant first and foundationally to even manifest the destiny. See, when we talked about it like that, I hope that didn't go over nobody's head. You heard me? But either way,
may have, but they come back, rewind it and rewind it again.
Okay, we're going to let it be. Let it marinate. Adopted fiduciary government. You heard that? Adopted.
This the most important one. Out of all three of these, This one, remember, we broke down what fiduciary responsibility means. So now we saying that this government is supposed to do something for us.
Oh,
this is how it was originally established. It wasn't that they were some celebrities that whatever they say go. No. You do what we put you in position to do, or it's gonna be a problem.
That whole part.
It was different.
Yeah, that whole part. Yeah, this is what we talking about though, system-wide. Because I don't want to be biased. You see, when we start talking about races, it get confused. You try to say, but you all tied to this right here. This is non-biased. This is non-biased right here.
What Kofi just said. Protestants work to stop the divine right of kings.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of back and forth about that. And no matter how you want to slice it, we know for a fact that the people coming from Europe knew the system that they came from. They wanted to get away from certain aspects and then lean into others. That's why those that came to America, they was trying to whip up some brand new. They found this land where it wasn't run like Europe. Wasn't no kings and queens over here talking about owning all the land. The ownership of land was not proven to be a thing that the indigenous people in America believed in. The land was for everybody, within bounds, of course. You know what I'm saying? Because they still was territorial, but it wasn't just like, oh, such and such got 50 acres. That ain't how they counted it.
No, that's not how they counted it at all. And that's why we want to make sure that's clear. You know what I'm talking about? That's got to be clear. No? Clarity. Power delegated, not owned. You hear that again? Mm-hmm. Power delegated, but not owned. Because within this system, you've been delegated the power, but you cannot hold ownership, which is kind of correlate to like stewardship, but on a government level of a system, because you're in a political position, etc., of this now said system, holding a fiduciary oath, as well a fiduciary oath to the people that you're holding up to govern over the people. That's why it adopted the fiduciary government. I took some time to make sure I gave you that. I want you to go back and read it again or listen to it again after I just said it. You heard me? Took me a little time to get that together. I ain't gonna lie. Now, next slide. Let's go. Key principle. Trust law separates power from ownership and binds authority to duty. You heard me? So trust law separates power from ownership and binds authority to duty. Duty meaning if you're in an oath of office situation, you're the one in the duty to uphold the position that you're in within the principle of that trust in the law of it. You heard me?
It's just a better system.
Yeah, keep moving. Evolution, right? America.
Go to the next one.
We're gonna hold them on. We gotta keep it. American trust system, law, equity, jurisdiction in the United States. And, our people with our heritage have a tie to this part right here. Because see, that law part, we can walk it back based off this system, 1775, and how it set up a trust, and going into this first time of enumerating people, which would be tied to what you call a census, which is 1790, right? The first census taken. They're now giving equity to those who are in a position of that system, and, you know what I mean, subject-wise. And some people aren't getting no equity. You know what I'm talking about? That's why we got, Paul Cuffey saying, you know what I mean, taxation without representation. Because of the equity part and how they're being treated within the lawful part, because they might be free, but they still don't have full equity or law ideals of governing themselves within that jurisdiction we call United States of America. So that needs to be understood too, within what's happening in the census going into 1790. See, 1790 within this American trust system, dealing with census records and enumerating people that will be in it. So what is the American trust system? The U.S. operates largely through trust law, rooted in equity and fiduciary duty. Government administers and not owns. Ain't nobody owns shit. Ain't what they say?
Yeah.
Control everything and own nothing.
Right.
Okay, slide on. But they doing that. Trump don't own America.
No.
In his position of government, in any of their positions, none of them are in this system of this trust system a owner. It's not possible. So everybody talking about kings and all that other stuff, man. That's pseudo stuff, man. If you understand this system, and that's not how that works. Go ahead though.
Yeah. So these are
common law, right? Foundations of trust law. So we give you the foundations of it, so ain't gonna spooky stuff happening when we talk about it. English common law, and a lot of our states prior to becoming states were under a common law tied to them lord proprietors. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then courts of equity, chancery, is going to be tied to the lordship of the British 13th colony situation dealing with equity in the courts of that time frame, going back to the Lord Proprietors. Roman fiduciary concepts, because of the fact that these people, even if they all broke away in that manner of moving within King James situation, he wasn't trying to move within the Roman Catholic standpoint of the crowns. This system is still borrowed, as we showed you, from Rome, fiduciary wise. That's make sure y'all don't mix the dope up. Don't mix the dope up. Biblical stewardship, like the word steward we showed you earlier, and how within the biblical understanding of a stewardship, which is somebody that's in a trustee position, you know what I'm talking about, within the ecclesiastical system of principles, is why that needs to be understood where they got that from too. You heard me?
Yep.
Dealing with that Congress joint, you said the year of the Bible, right?
Year of the Bible.
Okay. Because their oaths is tied with their Bibles in the court, right?
The biblical stewardship principles. This is what they was using when they came up with how the courts was going to be set up based on equity. This is all of the things that they had. That's why the English common law, the stuff they brought over here. So, but they to this point right here, it's just after Rome took over England. So you got a lot of back and forth. But the main thing people was learning is they took some of the principles that they had in businesses in using religion and started using them for themselves. There's a constant evolution between Rome and Europe, just like us. Because at this point, when they formed America, Rome ain't really had their hands in what was going on in America right away. 13, that was because of the stewardship of King James them to make that happen. Rome ain't like that.
No, that's all I want to show. Like, anything else on this one before we bring it up?
We good.
That was good, right? That's
it done broke down everything. It's time to go. Travis, he back there. He ready. We can get to it. I know.
Let's get to it.
Travis, as soon as you pop back in front of the camera, bro, we can get it rolling. But yeah, so the whole purpose, letting them know, Mac, is about the trust and understanding the history, our history specifically. Matter of fact, let me do something real quick. I'll wait for Travis to come. So they need to understand this role of trust, right?
Yep.
Everything tied to us. So now you got your Bureau of Indian Affairs, right?
Right.
So they got all the land that they acquired through these so-called treaties. They got it in trust.
That part.
Yeah, so this ain't no spooky. This is a real tool in the way that it's used, but we hear a lot.
They got a trust. All them got trust.
It's about more than trust.
Under the BIA.
Yeah. And that the BIA controls. So if it wasn't nothing, it wasn't no real tool, why would they use it?
They're the grantor.
To make sure what, Matt? That they keep the land in perpetuity.
Of that particular group of people that with them roles and how they want to keep that land composited within the governance, still underneath their control.
Of the government.
Yeah, that's what we talk about from a trust standpoint of it. Title 25.
Just making sure they're well.
Yeah.
We got Travis though. I'm finna go and bring him up. Hold on.
Hey.
What's up, bro? Oh, caught y'all going. Get the glasses on.
Yeah. All right, ready.
Hey, ready, bro. We ready, bro.
What's going on? Let's get it.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is good. This feeds in good. So I'll carry on here with a little bit more on trust. Right. And I'm going to get, because I feel there's some in the audience into actually Craven, the Tuscarora Cherokee situation, and how it actually shows the trust in action before and after, and how you see immediately the growth of the new title towns and how everything's property. Like you see it right away. Bath, North Carolina is the first town put into the new trust after they displaced the Tuscarora. All right. So here we go. What we know is there's a man named Charles Craven. He's the one that negotiates with the Cherokee during this war. This guy Craven comes back. He's one of the Lord Proprietors, or his father or grandfather was. Okay. So what we have in action is like a trust enforcer. They're sending a man from the Craven Company, and he's a real headbanger, militaristic, knightly type, right? And that's who's negotiating with the Cherokee and playing them against the Yamasee and all that, right? So that's the type of person sent in. All right, it's Charles Craven. Okay. And basically, what does he do? He neutralizes the Tuscarora threat in North Carolina by recruiting the powerful southern tribes, Catawba and the Cherokee, as allied mercenaries and scouts. What does he do? He offers them muskets, powder, and shot, right? Then they permit the Cherokee to enslave the captured Tuscarora and sell them, right? So this would all be like in the contract of the deal, right? Then they're promised the Cherokee exclusive trade channels as middlemen, right? So they're gonna, all the furs that make their way through the ports and across the Atlantic, they're gonna get choke point through some Cherokee agents, right? And they're gonna get their cut. So it's business, right? Buffer zone between the Cherokee land. So this is the beginning of the setup of the Cherokees being very, big and integrated into everything in North Carolina and Georgia all the way through like the mid 1800s. This is the setup. They start with this protection from this Craven. And Craven's one of those Lord proprietors that put the Stuarts back in power in the Restoration. That's who we're talking about here, okay? And then these guys are even given silver medallions and English style uniform. That's right. So the Cherokee leaders, as part of this, have silver English like trust medallions, right? That's a form of what we call seigniorage, right? Like they carry a token of who they're representing and lets everybody know this guy's protected. It's like the mafia. So yeah, you guys, this is really important to understand this because it's something that I've just learned in all my studies. I'm like, oh, this explains, like you're watching these old movies. You're like, how do people, the guy would have had some type of signature on him. Okay. And that lets you know. And so just this also implies that your people knew this stuff too. So what I mean? So it wasn't like, oh, this new thing the Europeans are doing. I'm pretty sure you've dealt with, there's other stuff going on, I'm sure, before. And that explains why it also is an example to me of the stories of young George Washington. He's going around through Virginia and out all the way to Ohio, and he has interpreters, but he's got something on him that says, I'm George Washington and I'm protected by Lord Fairfax, one of the most powerful trust corporations in Great Britain. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So back to Craven and the Tuscaroras, but I just want to make sure people get that. Why does this work? So he's not trying to be a permanent ally of the Cherokee, of course. He's just trying to buy time, extinguish Tuscaroras, Yamasee, right? Take over Carolina, right? Cherokee, take the offer, basically. We get it. We're not going to go into too much detail. I'll just let you know there's clear archival evidence following these war or battles, really, because it wasn't even that long. Basically, Carolina underwent automatically right after increase. The surveyors show up, the towns get funded, trust patents. You can see this like in the colonial courts of the time, like the patents get filed. They may have surveyed or partially surveyed these lands 50 years before. They used to have futures contracts on lands, like kind of pre-surveyed. And then it's like they're betting based on when you're finally going to get this place. So that's how much of a financial engine of capital and like modern Wall Street was behind just funding. We're just funding this invasion over hundreds of years. All right. So let's get into a little bit then what happens in this slave deal, right? So the Cherokee operatives I wanted to show you how this works, like the real money. So the Cherokees would receive script-based dollars, script payments. They would receive vouchers from the new counties of Carolina, the colony now of Craven's colony, right? And basically these vouchers, the script, would be paid to them, right? And that's credit against the inventory of all the furs they're going to provide, the metals. Remember the deal, everybody, you're supplying sturgeon, goes through them. You're a winemaker, scuppering on wine, going through them. You get my drift? Like beaver furs, going through them. They're getting a cut. But listen, look at how Craven and the colonies paying them script, basically like corporate money is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so that's how you get how much of a corporate invasion this really is an operation. Okay, these scripts are backed by what? Proprietary land companies. So they're taking your land and then using your land immediately as collateral to create money or corporate script to then pay the guys who allied with them to push you off your land. Genius, right? Crazy. Yeah, devious. The more you get it, the more you're like, man, this is just all right. So in a sense, it's.
Hey, Travis, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Script Warrant Act?
I have not heard of that. I know what the warrants are, how Washington used them in the Oh yeah, that part, but I've never looked at like an act or legislation about it. No.
So because when you said script, right? I couldn't remember where I remembered that from, but we were looking at land patents and certain land patents in these Indian lands. A lot of times it came from like being in the military, but it said script warrant land, and I never saw that before. So when they looked it up, it's tied to something about what you're saying. So I wanted to go to correlate.
So warrants are a little bit like go ahead, Matt, are like futures a little bit. They give you the option. Yeah.
What I know is, when you said Script Warrant Act, it's going to be tied to 1847. I just looked up saying it, and for people to just know what he's talking about out there before we go into conversation is just the Script Warrant Act of 1847, often associated with war finance for the Mexican-American War.
That's why. Okay. At the time. Right.
And it was a U.S. federal law that allowed the government to pay debts with transfer certificates instead of cash. You know what I'm saying?
So you say they came to Cherokee with the script.
Right. So they're doing
same concept.
So in this case, so there's two types. There's warrants, which are more like they would pay the veterans in warrants on the land. But the scam on that was the soldiers never had enough capital to make the land productive to pay taxes. So they'd sell the warrants for like $10 for like 10 cents on the dollar. So say the price of the land was really $1 an acre. Since they couldn't make any money off the land because they couldn't afford to, they'd sell it to some group owned by Washington or whatever, and they'd be buying up so this is how they treat their own soldiers. See, they scamming their own soldiers in the revolution. The scams is always going on. Like they never pay for anything. They figure out how to get the people doing the work they pay for it, or the people they're conquering to pay for everything. That's basically what I see like over and over again. So
I see the same thing. I ain't gonna lie, Trav.
I mean, so and it goes on today in different ways, but it's the deal, right? So so here we are. So it's very similar, right? So, but just the point is, it shows you how integrated the Cherokee are into this at this point. I mean, they're basically this is their monetary system, so they are now dependent to play in this system, to buy supplies and to support their own families, and they're on Charles Craven and now the English colonial corporation. It's a real sly move. It's why it's important to have societies that stay on your currency. So it's really big. So this is really tricky what they're doing here. Okay. Anyhow, and it even says like, and again, they're using their land or your land, right? They displaced it. Maybe they put some in trust of the Cherokees, but they're using that land to print the script, and they're basing the amount of script based on the amount of land that they took over. All right. So that's the main point there. Right. And then you'd have many Cherokee elite facilitating all this work. Guess who they are? They're the products of the hostaging I've talked about. And we're going to get into the Moravians, who are really big in this area, and how their trusts work. They actually are the capital bases of Wachovia Bank, which existed for over a century before it got sold. So this is what we're, kind of leading into. It's why I'm talking to Cherokees. It'll lead into them. Now, what happens immediately after all the bloodshed, the displacement, the missions come in, they hostage the ones that are remaining. The ones that don't want to play ball are the slaves that get moved around the country. There's your slave trade, right? So here we are, ports of transfer, Bath and Charleston. The primary export for human capital, the Tuscarora capital is processed there, right? And then in Bath, okay, all of a sudden they start having the captives there in proprietary warehouses, which were marked by ciphered inventory tally. I can't believe I could find this stuff, all right? And they got them noted. There's a 1713 case where an accounting fragment from the city of Bath, or the town of Bath, Carolina, lists 12 male and 7 female under a sequence of glyphs matching Cherokee and Anglican church encoded forms. I mean, you can't make this up, guys. And these get later cross-referenced in a Moravian school baptismal log. So we can track people from Indian to slave to mission to English name to they're an apprentice in the field, or the cooper in the mine, or in the other miller or the metal shop. All right. And they found they can track some of this, right? As they get moved from like the 3 or 4 different groups or organizations. Of course, they're all working in league in this situation, right? And again, so just letting you set up that this is a trust. Craven's coming in. And frankly, what we're seeing with the Cherokees is a trust setup. They're now forcing the Cherokees into this new type of trust, a covenant with Craven, a covenant with what becomes the state of North Carolina. And of course, they're very much the dependents and the weaker player in this covenant, right? So that's what you see there. It's trust. Really, trusts are everywhere in this situation. Okay, now let me get a little bit more. The job of the missions of these missionaries, these Moravians that are going to come in, is to create English towns. How they do that? Surveys, paper titles, fences, and then the land gets worked by the remaining Indians, because they hostage their kids, so the family stayed nearby, right? Or they've been brought in, they've converted and all that, and they're working the land. All right. So that's who's like going to become the source of the labor, because these guys, these Moravians, are going to get 90,000 acres. It's called the Wachovia Grants, 99,000 acres. And they only brought about 500 Europeans over in all that time to manage all that land. So the question is, where did they get the people to work the land? So we'll get into that. But I want to give you a little bit more. So what is this? Because I'm going to give you some receipts now, right? All right, here we go. An example. This is legit. Tuscarora child named James Thomas appears in a 1728 school ledger of the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel. Remember, they would finance these schools, right? And then they would brag about all the Indian kids, or anytime they're converting people, these missionaries, they have these newsletters, and they'll send, oh, we've got 37 new converts, and they might even, they'll list their, hey, this is how this stuff gets put together on paper. Okay. By 1743, James Thomas is listed as a deputy surveyor under the Earl Granville Land Office. The Granville, if you're in the Carolinas, the Granville District, that's another major corporate dynastic trust family. Carteret, the Day Carteret family, Carteret, if you're going to say it right. And out of them spawns things like the Carter dynasty in the southeast of the United States. So I'm giving you 3 or 4 trusts right here, interlocking to take over the Carolinas, right? You have Moravian sermon 1715 to 1750 talking about the adoption of new brothers from what? From the forested lands. You see how they start to talk about you again. They stop naming you. They know not to name you, right? So the people from the forest land, they might say savage. There's just some other great examples. Okay. Finally, how do we know the trusts are involved and what goes on after the Tuscarora and Yamasee are pushed out, right? Get this right away. All right. 1713, they form the Surveyor General's office right there in Carolina. There's a man named Edward Mosley. He's appointed the Surveyor General of North Carolina and immediately issues dozens of surveys per month. I mean, they got an army out there surveying. You know, the Indian kids are over there crying, looking for their parents, and this dude's out there surveying it up, and the missionaries are coming around acting like they're not a part of it. And we just happen to have the only supply of food for miles. So, yeah, if can we have your kid? Right. It's the best option, right? It's the poor orphan. We're offering the best option because there's other options to stay out here or go with the people that got out of Dodge somehow, right? Or get enslaved, right? So we're the friendly Moravians coming in to help. All right. They actually would take these surveys, all right, they'd bundle them to what's called head right grants. You got the head right system, right? This is all about planting bodies in the Americas. When they would invest in these corporations, it would be how many people they were buying to send over here. Now it also could include slaves to purchase over here as well. All right, so they bundle all these surveys right away, head right grants. These are also known as the Lord Proprietor tracts. All right, these are, Cape Fear, what comes out of it? Cape Fear, River Valley, PD River, Backcountry, all these new gridded plats, like immediately. Okay, so what do you get? You get Brunswick, 1725, Bath is 1705, Orangeburg, South Carolina, 1719. All right, all these like come right away, built or not built, but reorganized, readministrated on top, right? And then the next thing would be the Moravians start to move in, which I can get to here in a second. I'll stop here.
You definitely covering. So what we want to do is we want to make sure, because you covered a lot of stuff that we want to make sure they understand the context of what you're breaking down. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So I'll stop here.
Go ahead, Matt.
So when we said script act and everything you said right now, we're going to get ready to walk into what he's going to talk about. And obviously earlier we broke down trust, right? So we broke down trust. Covenant is another term we'd say correlate to trust, right? But this word script, that when you brought up Monte, that script warrant act, right? Now watch how this is correlate to trust before he moves on, y'all, so nobody can get missing. We're going to lay down this real quick. All right, now check this out. What script means? SCRIP. A written certificate, a claim on future payment, a credit instrument, not legal tender, but negotiable. IOUs, promissory notes, treasury paper, early credit instruments. It could be traded, sold, assigned, discounted, used to settle debts, often at less than the face value. What the act authorized? The act allowed U.S. Treasury to issue scrip warrants to soldiers, government contractors, suppliers, war creditors. Instead of paying them immediately in specie, which is gold and silver at the time,
real money.
They received a warrant that could be later redeemed.
Yeah.
These warrants typically
like a warranty.
These warrants typically carry interest, had maturity date, were payable from future taxes. This is the early form of government debt monetization. You know what I'm saying? So that script act and everything, indigenous people are involved.
Yeah. And then we heard surveys. So survey, we talking surveying the land?
Yes.
Yeah, in the script. Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be about the oh yeah.
Territory.
So now based on you now surveying this land, because to make somebody a surveyor general, this shows you how important surveying the land was at this time. Right. The more acreage we can cover and claim, the more business we can do based on the wood, the production that comes from that land in the many different various ways.
That part.
So to give people understanding. So obviously, if this system come over here, who are the people you need to do business with? The people that know how to produce off this land, for one.
Right. The operators. Yeah.
Correct.
So this feeds into the whole theory that most of the so-called slaves and everything, and even that were you guys is indentured and enslaved in place. You know, because once you understand the corporate angle and how a corporation operate, and once you realize they're writing all these, like, I call it the two things. There's two prongs: control of the land, control of the labor.
Right.
So they gotta get both. And the ones that don't want to get on board, those are the slaves. Those are the ones they split up and send around and trade around the Americas. The ones that stay on board through different ways, they convert or they agree. You know, you got to remember this whole thing I talk about, or hostage the kids, it's real, and this works. It really works. Okay, people compromise, you know, because so the compromise just keeps going on. Like they keep doing this playbook over and over. But yeah, that's so. Well, so I'll get right to it on the money. The Moravians are my example of this. All right, because they were big there. Right. Yeah, so that's why I'm not. So anybody knows, you know, I'm not picking on the Moravians. Like I've got the Methodist. Yeah, and I've got the Methodists doing the same thing in California. What I'm giving you is how the Spanish and the Protestant missionaries operated as businesses. These were for money, profit making businesses. Each mission was like a franchise, like a local McDonald's in a nation of 5,000 McDonald's all around the country. That's what you got to understand. Everybody was following a standard operating procedure, which means one thing. They were all being educated, all being trained, all being raised by these big corporations, and they were being sent to academies and and they're all learning how to behave this way and do this. And just like you see today in military academies or any type of corporate thing, right? They know how to train their people to think a certain way, right? So I just want you to understand that's who these people really are, okay? 1753, the Carteret family, right? They have this deed. It's called the Granville Grant. There's a whole primary record on that. This is where they sell or deed the 99,000 acres to, it's a 99-year renewable lease, I should say, to the Moravians, okay? So I don't want to get into that, but it's a lease. It's not, you know, reverts back to some ancient corporate trust. I mean, this is what really goes on, guys. It's real stuff. All right. Then there's they have stock subscription books. So 1839, they invest in F&H Fry's manufacturing. They buy preferred stock. So this is the Moravian missions. Like they're building up capital and equity off of your people's backs, and they're buying stock. All right. The railroad bonds in the 1860s. You can find it in 1868. They're buying a railroad. So it's just all through the 1800s. This bank, Wachovia, RJR Reynolds, they end up owning 4% from the very beginning, 4% of RJR Reynolds tobacco as of 1884. Okay. That's what they're doing. They are money making, real estate development, mutual fund, like companies. That's how these churches were really operating. Now,
It's a
how did
mutual
they?
fund, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. They got a bunch of cash and they've made it off. And now I'm going to get into how they got to that. All right. So now I told you how it ends. It ends in Wachovia Bank. If you don't know Wachovia because you're a little younger, they existed from the 1880s until the financial panic of 2009. And they had to get bought by, I believe, Bank of America or one of these other banks. And they got folded into that. So just so you know, it went from the Tuscarora and the Yamasee getting kicked out and killed to Wachovia. That's what they did with your real estate. All right. So here's a little bit on how they did it. All right. Tuscarora, Yamasee, estimates run 5,000 to 10,000 captives trafficked. All right. Now, here's an interesting thing. South Carolina law would treat many Indian captives as indentured rather than slaves because they would, in fact, put contracts on you 4 to 7 years. There's good reasons for this. This helped the Moravians say they didn't deal in slaves, and that helped them like get more funding from the donors or something like that. So there's always an angle, like the Quakers with.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
Those contracts, were they insurable?
Yeah. So, right. Thank you. Yes, of course they're insurable. Right. So this, again, the money involved. Right. So they write that contract, right, because they have control of you, because they've converted you. You've been through this process. And after you've been through the process, the banks and the insurance companies go, okay, this guy's under their control. He's under our control now. Okay. They got 100 of these guys under their control. They're going to write some contracts on them to indenture them for the next 7 years. And basically they go like this. They say they're going to make us $100 over the next 7 years. For sure. We know the type of work they do. And so they turn around and get insurance. They go to the insurance company and say, hey, can you give us $100 right now? We don't want to wait to receive it. Like, $10 a year, right? It's called an annuity contract. You guys know that. It's the same thing that they do now to everybody. Yeah. This is what they're doing to you guys. Correct. Although you guys weren't getting the benefit of it. You see what I mean? So this is really evil because it's like, there's a law. You can't go and write insurance and not give the money, like have the beneficiary, all this stuff.
Be the physical person, yeah.
So they're right. Yeah, it's bad. Now, don't take it personal. They're doing it back in Europe too. But this is how these trusts, this capitalist corporate way of doing things. This is the new way that's brought in, begin the 1500s. They're insuring everything. They're making money off you in so many ways. All right. And so now they get the forwarded money. They get $100 now, and they're going to pay the insurer back over the next 7 years with a cut of what you produce. You see what I mean? That's how good of operators you had to be, which also points out like they were enslaving you in place. They're not going to, you're not going to bring a bunch of untrained, don't know what they're doing from another part of the world, Africa, even Europe. You're not going to bring in a bunch of villagers from England who aren't expert in farming and everything that goes into this. And do all this. You're only going to do what I'm talking about because they know exactly who you are, that you're experts. They've got you like categorized, like
it made business sense.
You're a medicine woman. They had, medicine woman. You were valued higher. Like they would get a higher amount for your annuity. So they had it down like a modern corporate industrial world does now, the job codes and all that. So just great questions. Just points to how this is corporate trust stuff. And it's enslaving people in place, and it's getting them to redirect the yield, the benefits of their work and skill over, into these shareholders, right? What do the Moravians do? There's microfilms or 300 or 400 indentured contracts, all right, from 1755 to 1780. We got Moravian missionaries in their notes with talking about baptisms of Indian servants and Natchez hostages, all right? How about this? Let's look at the number of people involved. All right. Basically, they brought over, and again, like I said, this is all corporate stuff, so they track it. They brought over about 500 of their own. All right. Who are these? I'll get to that later, but they basically go all the way back to Transylvania and Bohemia. This is wacky stuff. The Moravians, led by a man named Zinzendorf. Can't make this up. All right. You can't, like literally, you can't, so. Anyhow, right? You got 500 of them that they bring over, guys. Remember, they got a 99,000 acre grant. and they only brought over 500 people. So how are they making this happen? Right. So then there's apparently about 100 to 150 Germans came over. Got it. We'll take that. He did set up a colony in Germany as well. Fine. So where are they all coming from? The rest has to be you guys. And they do have enough in the official record to show about at least 1,000. And they're mostly drawn up as indentures, which makes sense with the Moravians because they went to market as we don't do the slavery thing. We don't use slaves. Okay, we'll indenture them. Or got it. You got to understand, even if they enslaved you, they usually did have to let you go around 18 or 21. And if you were the youth that were going through the indoctrination, conversion, and apprenticeship system, they weren't keeping you for life. They were spinning you out as an English citizen as long as you were in America. That's what was really happening. And then when they did a census the next year, you weren't an Indian. You were John, the good English citizen. As long as you're in America, you leave America, you're an Indian again. Yeah, that's in the law. So that's what's really going on here. They're basically transforming you from Indians into English citizens through this process. And it's like not talked about. Everybody talks about slavery, but what I'm realizing the vast majority of this is conversion onto the system, erasing of memory and clanship ties. And then by the time a few generations go by, they're not even thinking of they're thinking of themselves as Englishmen and later as Americans. And that's like the real deal. What they really did. There's not a 50% death rate from disease. There's not. I want to,
hey, Travis, real quick. I want to
100% conversion rate.
Yeah. I want to introduce a thought for y'all because a question just came. Oh, and so also Kofi pointed out.
Yes, they were melanated people, the Moravians.
Yeah, exactly. So
they were melanated. Yeah, they were for real.
Hey, so look, this is what we got to talk about.
All Moravians are melanated, but definitely Moravians.
We can't say it's all white though. That's what we do.
Yeah, you got to understand where they're coming from, and there's descriptions of them even back like in Bohemia, like that they were like swarthy and like strangers and they didn't look yet. So there's like the giveaway words that would describe them.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's some freaky stuff. And I think they're tied into Dracula for real. Like they go back to that stuff. So just letting you know.
I want to provide a perspective too. So to look at it, all things in both ways. So check it out. So I think based on the review of things that, through the research, right? With any people, you got your bad actors, you got some people chasing righteousness, you're gonna always have a mix no matter what, right? So it looks like different Europeans were doing different things. Not all factions had the same, because moving in trust and through insurance ain't necessarily a bad thing in itself. It's when you have people who are not the real beneficiaries and they got policies that you don't even know about. Right. It's when you start doing things that are devious is when it changes, but using the practice of it doesn't make you bad.
Oh yeah, not true. Right. Yeah, I want to make that point. Yeah, but I also just want to say that this shows how much money was behind this. So
right,
I want to do like I really want to research into this, but this just shows you get a central bank going. They create the Bank of England, right? In the, I think it's late 1600s, they finally get that done.
Yeah.
And then now you can just create money with all the land. So as they do that with their own land, and as they take your land, that's why I was saying they immediately took the Yamasee land, Tuscarora land. What did they immediately do? It's like they survey it, and then now they can go to the bank and say, hey, we got this land. Some money. With money, I can buy soldiers. With money, you see what goes on? Yes. Now you can buy the weapons. You can buy the violence that you need to be done for you, right? I mean, it's money is an interesting thing. We all use it. We have to. Yeah. But your civilization did not use money like that. Actually, no civilization. Most of the time, money was about big businesses doing trade transactions internationally and settling their differences with money. You didn't go every day, the average person, and use money until about a couple hundred years ago. They forced this onto us. This is how we are in a very new way of doing things compared to world history in so many ways, and money is one of them. So, all right. So let me just give you three just more receipts. Okay. Let's theory just straight up receipts about how this financing worked. Okay. The Rowan County Court of Pleas and Quarter Sessions. This is great stuff. The Moravian business agent, a Frederick William Marshall, sued a John Huston, who was the executor of a recently deceased Tuscarora indentured servant. Okay. So the Tuscarora indentured servant has died, right? And he is known in the record, get this, as Tuscarora John. Marshall walked in. Okay. So Marshall is the business. He's suing the executor of Tuscarora John's estate. So first thing first is, wait, an indenture, but yeah, right. Marshall walks in. He has what? He has his proof is a baptism certificate from 10 May 1759 and a 7-year indenture bond that pledged 1/3 of Tuscarora John's corn crop as interest on a 120-pound loan from Wachovia to build the farm buildings. So you got an indentured man still labeled a so he must have not have converted per se, but they have a baptism. So you see, even who, so he just, John's the name, right? He's now, I'm sorry, yeah, John Huston. His Christian name is John Huston, but they're still admitting and still kind of writing in the notes on the official records that he's a Tuscarora and calling him Tuscarora John. And he's
just a straight up business transaction.
Exactly. And like you asked earlier, there's an indentured bond on his indentured servitude contract because they got money forwarded to them and they got to pay it back at 1/3 of the crop that John's going to produce. So imagine John isn't he's no blue collar Tuscarora. He's probably got a team, right? He's the business owner or the agent, whatever, right? That's what I'm trying to get at here. And he's got to direct 1/3 of that output back to these guys to pay them so they can sell it for money and then use money to pay Wachovia back on the loan. See what's going on? The justices ruled that because the man, get this though, because Tuscarora John had been made a Christian by holy baptism and he had sealed the indentured with his mark, some type of signal, right? The bond operated as an equitable charge against his crop and tools. The judge then said the estate had to satisfy the arrears, the back pay to the Moravian trustees, plus the costs, right? So the new guy took over the executor and he wasn't paying this 1/3. And you're like, yo, wait a second. You still need to pay us just because he was a Tuscarora, he's indentured. Doesn't matter. Guess what, man? He was a Christian. So they used the baptism to say he is in the system as secure. You know, you got to keep paying us according to the contract that we had with him. That's what's going on here. So it's an indentured Tuscarora. So it just shows like they weren't, they ideally from their corporate nastiness point of view really wanted to keep as many of you alive and working as possible.
Yeah, because that's how their money was being made.
I hate to say that after the way we've all been inundated the last 140 years with the story, and I'm not putting down any of the violence, obviously, but you got to start to think like, yeah, wait, like if there's all this money flowing around based on very productive, skilled laborers, that means you want to keep them healthy, right? You want to keep them stable. It starts to really just put a lot of holes in the African slavery thing. A lot of holes, and they're bringing in pauper Europeans to do the work. No, that doesn't make sense either. They wouldn't. You're farming at scale, guys. This is like working for Monsanto. This isn't Farmer Jones stuff.
Hey, and you know how though? Hey, so Matt, the history, right? So we talk about the Yehudi. We talk about a specific subset of people who were some of the first Black Europeans to be exiled out of Europe and then come to Europe. So they understand banking principles. They understand law. So when they come here and they see the greatest agricultural production known to man, like literally,
right.
You got Michael Jordan met Kobe Bryant and they decided let's do it. That's why you have this was business that was
there's
so
a lot more
reframe this.
There's a lot more business that went on or conversion, right? But
because of those Black Europeans who could go and that's what laid the foundation between the indigenous people.
Yeah, for sure.
Trade wise, definitely.
I mean,
but the thing is
trade connection.
The veil underneath the veil that he's saying underneath the commerce and agricultural land production is tied to the fiduciary ideal of economics being held. Who's holding it? The colonial side. That we're talking about moving these covenants such as the more
proprietors.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what's separate when people don't hear the story about, like he just said, these groups of people who are, you might, when you say Moravians, you also got to say Methodists. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Moravians are tied to the Methodists. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole, you know what I mean? But either way, like you said, these people, yeah, definitely saw the plug and said, hey, it's time to move. You know what I mean?
Right. These guys are all special operators. All right. Don't think these reverends and these, and then you have real knights too. So you have the real violent guys, but these guys they're the non-violent knights, really. They all work together. They train in the same universities. They just have different roles, but don't kid yourself about, that whether or not they're in league or they don't have the same ends, or they're just different, like business divisions of the same overall corporation coming in. Let me give you like two more. These are just right on the nut, like receipts. Like you can't. 1767, back to the Granville Land District Office. Remember, that's the Carteret family behind Granville. I told you about security. We're just talking about all this financing. They enrolled a bundle of indentures, a bundle of 26 indentured servants of the Moravians. I've talked about they bundle slaves together as assets and securitize them like they do mortgage-backed securities and credit loans and everything nowadays. They were doing that with your people based on their skills and their known future productivity. That's right. 26 of them. And they are used as supplemental collateral to then get a 500-pound loan from the Brethren's Corporation. Okay. So Moravian has a Brethren's Corporation right next to the church. They got 3 or 4. It's right there in the paperwork. Like you just got to dig deep a little bit. It's right there how they converted. So you see how they're doing that? They got 26 of them. They're like, hey, we know how much they're going to make for us the next 10 years. Forward that 500 pounds to us now. We can buy some soldiers or buy more land, right? Keep buying. You see how this, it's the snowball effect once they get it rolling. And again, they're not really paying for anything, are they? One more, guys. 1772. So everything I'm giving you guys is before the revolution, okay? 1772. This is in Virginia. Robin vs. Hardaway, that freeing a group of baptized Indians and spelling it out in a regional rule and print. So baptism converts heathen captives into Christians capable of contracting. So they have basically a situation where if they could show that this Indian had been baptized like 10 years ago, then they could be like, we just had him in this really unfair contract that he didn't understand, and now we're going to enforce it on him. So you see how the conversion thing is real. It's a financial process conversion. Right. And
it's not that show up with a gun and make you convert. That's what people think when every situation wasn't that way.
Right.
You do have your examples, but the evidence looks like it was more people who did it willingly because it wasn't than people who had to do it by force, especially in the South.
Hey, but it's mirrors what they did prior to they came to Americas in the first place. The system.
Yeah, you always get people to turn. Yeah. Right.
I mean, they're converting.
Just like you had turncoat Irish and turncoat. Right. Yeah. That's like the whole, like the Braveheart movie is you have Scottish that are loyal to they're going to stay loyal to this. The whole story's where the way they tell it is bad. But point is that's the dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just seeing the exact same thing happen here. Now I'll give you the gist or the grist on this Count Zinzendorf, because it is pretty tweaky. All right, Count Zinzendorf was reactivating. I think he was reactivating a crushed trust system because the lineage of this guy goes back to Bohemia, Hungary, all the way to John Hus and the Hussites, which is in the 1400s. The Hussites were like this crazy, like anti-Catholic, banging things up, kind of like communists though with their property sharing. So kind of weird to kind of put a label on them. But anyways, they get crushed at the Battle of the White Mountain in 1620. So the trust and all their wealth gets crushed by the Habsburgs in 1620, the Battle of White Mountain. But as I say, wealth and power don't die. They transfer, they move. Well, Zinzendorf emerges, right? He's the guy. He ends up he's in Saxony. So he ends up under the protection somehow in Germany of what, the House of Hanover, our King George has come from. So who's the leader of the Moravians who's getting this 99,000 acre grant and turning that into Wachovia? Well, he's a guy heavily connected to the House of Hanover, the rulers, and has a lineage and capital that would go back into the 1400s. most of the people, they're coming from the Czech Republic, Hungary, Slavic. He brings like 500 of them into England, into Germany, sets up a colony there, sort of practices how he's going to do it to you guys. This is real. And then he gets his money and his patent, and he comes over, and guess what? They brought over a total of about 500 brethren. So these were brethren being trained out of colony first in Germany, Saxony, Germany, and then sent over to execute. This guy is tied into the Privy Council. That's like our national security agency. And basically they end up big lands in North Carolina, really great spots in Pennsylvania. They basically own Bethlehem and Nazareth. All right. And then they're pretty big. And I got great stuff on how they hostage people up there, Labrador and Greenland. All right. So they're what you call sort of like a small player. They're never as big as these other churches you've heard of. But that's what's fascinating to look at how they did all this with only 500 of their own people. And then you got to go, man, these guys were skilled operators at basically kind of getting control of the land, turning it into money, and progressing everything into the 1800s. You know, they go right into modern economics. R.J.R. Reynolds, Wachovia Bank, on and on. So there you go.
Hey, listen, that was a great example of trust and the trust decoded. We've been talking about the Moravians for a while, and I think we need to go back and watch our Moravians because you said Zinzendorf. There was a guy that met Zinzendorf by the name of Benozet, and he had a system set up where later on American Indians and colored people went to the same school system.
There you go. Yeah, right, of course.
And were educated, and they were brought up in the Methodist system. You know what I mean? Conversion, baptism, and then later on, as the black and white congregation, they would call it today.
Right.
Now they decided to change their bylaws, and they wanted the black part of their congregation to sit in the back. That's what led to Richard Allen breaking away from that church. That was a Methodist church.
Okay.
In its origin, like the whole storyline, there's a whole other story to that too. But when you said that, I want to say one quick thing real quick. There's a lot of things that can go into that where you just expose.
So like the more Europeans were coming in and becoming Moravians at the time and passing that law, that rule, or
right. Well, see what's so crazy about how the Moravians, like what they did with how you brought up the Wachovia. We know that in Pennsylvania though, they had a lot more like success.
Oh yeah. Okay, right. Oh yeah. And I found some good dirt on them too in Pennsylvania. It's the same thing everywhere. But you're saying, yeah. I mean, they're behind, Bethlehem Steel. They're the capital behind like the steel, like the third largest steel corporation. So that everything they got a hold of from your ancestors, you can see it transformed in the 1800s into the so-called modern corporate, names that we know about.
Matter of fact, I got it right here. In 1777, during the American Revolutionary War, George Washington passed through Moravian territory in eastern Pennsylvania and was hosted in around Bethlehem, Nazareth, the core Moravian settlement. It says Bethlehem was a strategic supply corridor. Moravians were skilled craftsmen, gunsmiths, millers, and logistic workers. The workshop,
all 400.
You know what I mean? Like everything you were
Can I just stop you there? Because it's funny, like as we read the way they tell it, but now we know like they hardly brought over any more. So who were the Moravians doing all the work? Who were the skilled? It was you guys that were converted, right?
The Indians, the Negro, like the people they converted are doing the work underneath that.
So, they're not technically lying. They're just horribly deceiving us.
You became a Moravian. You're no longer an Indian or a Negro or whatever else. You're just a Moravian, and you're following that covenant and those bylaws. And you're working the land within that system.
Right.
Underneath that terminology being called a Moravian. After you converted.
And the same logic is how you end up becoming an Englishman. And then after the Revolution and Americans, the same logic. You went through that system. And that's like they get referred to that way. And probably by the second generation, you think of yourself that way. You might have some stories still, but we know there was a lot of pressure, social pressure put on, right? That's what I talk about, the cult of Columbia and stuff. Like they were pressing down hard to, you know, make this new European way, the admirable way, the version 3.0, whatever, the way they were pitching it, whatever. The idea was like, well, I want to get rid of my old ancestry. See what they did to you? Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's, you know, she's can't trust grandma, right? She's stupid and not up to date, right? So they've been doing this for 500 years. They say the same thing was happening in like 1700, like young, like second generation Indians, like grandma just talking crazy stuff, you know, right? Can't trust grandma because now I'm a good Presbyterian, I'm a good Methodist, right? It's really that's what they do. This country is like what they always say, like we're the most religious. I think we're like the most indoctrinated country. Maybe they just come at us, you know, so many ways. So
yeah, because
you know what's great?
Yeah. Now go ahead, man. You got it.
The last thing about them, George Washington going in, how they were here before United States of America, doing what they were doing inside their covenant trust. But then within that, it's showing that as president, you know what I mean, between 1789 and 97, Washington made a general policy which will be tied to what the First Amendment is tied to. You know what I'm saying? Which is religious toleration, protection of minority sex within the covenant, and it says non-interference with Moravian settlements. So he did not dissolve their communities or seize their land, which was significant in a period where, you know, it's a lot of expansion, manifest destiny and all that stuff, you know what I mean, getting ready to take place. So the Moravians survived what we call the transition from the British colonies to U.S. Republic largely intact. Like, so out of that transition of the American Revolution, that Moravian group is a great example of how they were able to take their covenant, the land they was able to have, and all the people they converted underneath that covenant jurisdiction of a trust system, and now transition into what we call United States jurisdiction of
different covenant, a new covenant with a new way of doing things. I mean, it kind of, that's it. I like to just focus it down to they're redirecting the flows and the profits to a different group of people, as much as, you know, that's what, you know, I'm really simplifying it, but that's what's, you know, for the most part what they're after. Do you want me to go into a bit on the freedmen now in terms of the trust?
The next time or something, boy,
that's some heat. So hey, I told you it will work itself out, Travis. So that's how you know that's where we start for the next one. But this is what we do though. Before we get to that, let's spend these last few minutes giving a summary of what we're trying to. So I'll start it off so you get what I'm saying. So basically, we've been talking about trust, right? So it's clear that in the way they established this, they were operating through trust, through the church and the religion, and they built a lot of stuff. They had schools, they had all type of organizations that was basically a built-in economy based on everything they learned from Europe. They came and put that together, and based on what we're seeing, because we're not of the mindset, we've done our research. Everything that happened over here was not done by physical force. It was through manipulative paperwork and systems that came later, because we outnumbered anybody, and then even some of the Europeans was black, so we would have never been outnumbered in our land to have to take on these religions. It was a lot of it by choice. You could tell because we took them on and still carry them to this day because it felt familiar, because it came from familiar people. But regardless, they all were using trust to operate and to grow. So kind of like so they understand the connection. Everything that we know of that was established, it was coming through these trusts.
I ain't got nothing to say about that. Travis?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just would like to sum it up as, the trusts they've been around, even in Roman times, so corporations and a lot of money and financiers, silent backers, faces you never see. This is how it's always been, or for a long time. And now we're just able to understand how it happened right here. We got a lot of proof of it, and I think the way it worked, here in America, which they don't want to talk about, is it really worked through these churches, and of course they don't want to tell the story, right? Nope. Right, and then it worked through for-profit corporations, and it also worked then through these so-called philanthropic societies, the anti-slavery society, the abolitionist society, the temperance movement. All these societies they're all part of the league. They set up their cousins and their nephews over here, and then they're talking about it at the country club, their next move. They own the media. It's not a new thing that they own the media. Every time they create a county in the United States, one of the requirements of a county was to have at least one newspaper. You know where they got their news from? The guys up in New York would just pump out news and like send it on the wire. So this is what the whole thing is. Yes, the whole right. So this is all corporate. Like once you see it, and then they always are using debt, and they're always using insurance, right? And they're always using land and people, right, as collateral to then print money and get money moving to them. So if these corporations,
property, some people say.
That's right. So they can control the land and control the labor that knows how to work the land, right? The labor that knows how to work it, not just any labor. Like you can control the right labor on that land. You can make a lot of money for your corporation. That's what they're always after. And that's why this trust and corporate viewpoint of it, to me, just is the most, if you really want to try and look at the most accurate way possible, this is, I think, the way to go through it, to view it through this lens of these trusts and these corporations and shareholder capitalism. And that's what it is. And so that helps you, I think, sift through things.
I agree.
So
that's why we're doing this, Trav.
So, and I think it's cool too. I just want to say, I see in the chat, and I get it on my stuff that, I love when people are like, hey, this sounds like something might have happened to my family. And I'm like, there you go. Like, I think like once people be like, wait a second, like this stuff has actually been talked about in my family. Just didn't know what to make of it because you don't have a framework. We've been so misdirected on everything, right? And now if you have the framework, right, and you hear the same information, you'll interpret that information and have a eureka moment rather than like, who cares about that? That's the most important thing ever been said at the dinner table. Now you know. That's kind of what I'm saying with all this. So it's not that far. I guess I just want to say this too. I don't want to talk too much, but it's not that many lifetimes ago. So don't think in terms of generations. Think of the average life is, say, 75 years. So 150 years is just 2 lifetimes. Okay, that 2 lifetimes get you to Reconstruction, right? Yeah. 3 lifetimes get you to right after the American Revolution. So that's 3 grandmoms like passing on knowledge. I'm going to put it in the most simple way for all of us, right? Passing on knowledge. It's not that. It's not like that
not far away. Yeah.
Nope.
That's all. I just want to point
we
that
lose
out.
that concept. That's a very good point. We need to be reminded of that all the time.
Yeah,
it's ancient history.
It's not really ancient. They want us to feel like it is, but it's not.
But our people want to figure out how Israel or Egypt fit into being in North America, while all this information right here is sitting in our face.
It is much more important.
It's all part of the indoctrination. It's all part of how they direct us to other areas. Yes.
Purpose.
How come Raiders of the Lost Ark didn't take place in Utah? Right. Right. They always, everything interesting and that really matters, right, is everywhere else. And meanwhile, it's really here, man. And it's really interesting once you maybe start to see it that way. All of a sudden, county parks can be interesting. State parks take on a whole.
It changes your whole view.
Everything because you're looking at an unraveling of mystery. You're spotting the cover up. You're spotting the concealment. You're seeing the ridge line. You're noticing how they engineered this terrace, right? Oh, okay. There was something. You're seeing the dry creeks and realizing those were not dry creeks before the county got there, right? So then you ask, well, what happened? Why did they dry the creeks? Well, they laid asphalt. Why they lay asphalt? Well, asphalt is the biggest waste of petroleum refining, and they got to figure out how to get rid of it. So that's what they decided to do. This is it's right in front of us. All right, your interstates are riding on top of ancient Indian highway. You can just go on and on. So it's not that far, and it's actually still here. Remnants are still here.
That's deep. We're gonna, as I know, we're gonna be seeing you soon again in the new year, y'all. We got something collaborating with American Handsome History, so look forward to it in the coming soon. You know what I mean? What we're going to be doing with him, what he's going to be doing with us. Talking about American being decoded. Can we talk about American ancestry at this point when it comes to what me and him have? Shout out to Monte, the party, conversate with Travis, Handsome History tonight and in the past. So shout out to you for coming on. I appreciate you as usual. You heard me. So
thank you.
Thank you for your time. And everybody that's tapped into us live, or after the fact that watches it. You know what I'm saying? This is like an introduction to the decoded part of American ancestry dealing with
yeah.
the system. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we just did today. We were just decoding, walking through this, right? We're decoding. So what the heck's really going on here? So yeah, I mean, check out the site, American Ancestry Decoded. I got a lot of reports on there, free trials, subscriptions and stuff. And I'm going to start adding long form videos on there too. You know, like if you're willing to listen for like an hour or so, you're going to have to go to the website. So where I'll go into a lot of details, but yeah, there's a lot there, and it's everywhere, and it's like topic by topic, county by county, case by case. There's just so much. You know, I'm fascinated by it, and I think it's great to be able to do something that's good. And like, you know, I feel like there's so many things you got to do in life as a business or whatever that are either boring or just not even doing anything useful. And it's like, man, this is something else. What we're on to here. This is like, man, okay. Let's just,
we understand.
I can like be passionate about this. Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah. You know,
we is too though. That's why we all.
That's what keep us going.
Yeah. So anyhow, thanks for having me on. Thanks for your trust and all that. So appreciate a lot of you. I see you like checking out my lives and my videos, so I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Definitely support. Support. If it's
support everybody that's doing this type of information. Hey, well, that's it, Matt. You got something else about to get up out of here, bro?
You know, hey, see, you were right, Monte. See, I shout out to Monte, humble with the news, because see, I had some other shit for y'all tonight.
Yeah, see, I'm a professional. I don't play no games.
So
that's good.
I'm real serious about my media director position. Yes,
that's the position you in, because you know we be here for a whole. That's why I had Travis, me and you, and all we do. Hey, you know how we can go? We can just go, because it's like, here's I got this too. I got this too. Like,
hey, Matt, he called me too, and I said, bro, don't worry about it. Just come on,
don't do it.
I got it.
Thank you.
All right, man. I ain't gonna go that deep, man. I'm gonna leave at this flat part right here, because
all right, this is a lot.
I want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, man.
That Friedman thing, that bureau,
we gotta go crazy for the Friedman.
That trust right there.
It's everything's a trust.
Yep.
That trust right there.
Every county, every state, everything's held in trust.
Yeah. I had something for you.
For the benefit of. For the benefit of.
Wait. So till next time, y'all. Sunday service.
Well, thanks, guys.
Okay, y'all. Tap in with us. Peace.
Take care.
They changed our names, but the truth still lives.
Some say we came from far away. Some say we've always been right here. Two stories at the same doorway, both chasing what our hearts hold dear.
Old maps, new maps, who's to say? We just want the truth that they erase.
Two roads, one people,
still searching for the name they stole.
Baby, two roads, one people,
still walking back to what we know.
Oh, we rise together, no matter which path we chose. No, two roads, one people,
still coming home,
still coming home.
Some want unity to heal the pain, some want records to clear the lies, but either way we break the chains and lift the story they deny. Lineage, memory, same heartbeat, just different ways to find our feet.
One people,
still searching for the name they stole. Two roads,
one people,
still walking back to what we know.
oh, we rise,
no matter which path we chose. Oh no, two roads, one people, still coming home, still coming home.
we remember who we are.
They turned our nations into colors, but but the truth kept living in our bones. Every step we take uncovers the road that leads us back home. One people still stuck.
This could take quite a bit of time.
Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces. How the fuck you bummy and broke but a pale racist? My lineage free people of color with a left make each nigga. This right here maroon, now it ain't burgundy. If you plotting murder, I'm certain that you'll need surgery. Hurt from when the burner squeeze. Protecting tribe business. Only consulting with governments, tribe to tribe with it. Please don't confuse us with those considered native. Semi-autonomy never was in our nature. Just address me as Esther Lusty. Wild Indian status and Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black forces the same color the European. Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.